sex? All right. Because I just learned something really good, that to calm the nerves, like before public speaking, having sex works really well. Yeah. That's kind of like the beautiful part about being in a partnership and doing something like a talk on sexuality is, well... Anything you want to say on that?
I don't think I need to say much on that. But I was really...
Oh, this is my lovely partner, Jam.
Hi.
And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michael.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
So last night I had a complete meltdown over doing this talk. He's in the middle of an event, I'm having a meltdown, and the thought of talking publicly on a stage about sex, for me it just felt so just unaligned, because sex is something that's in the body, and to talk about it, it's up here. So it's like, how do I channel all of the things that are in the body and I've done in the body and I feel and be on stage but not be up here? So it's been a real kind of, oh, I don't want to do this talk. Babe, can you just do this talk? And the first thing that we came up with today was, let's go sit and do some work on this talk. Let's, get through the nerves. And yeah, of course, we ended up having sex. So feeling a lot better, and I'm on the stage. So we've actually worked through this. It's a process.
But then I made a PowerPoint slideshow in like 5 minutes afterwards. So like I totally like manifested there. Yeah.
Do you want to do your serious bit now?
Which serious bit?
With the land.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I like what Peter did before. Thanks to the custodians of this land. A bit of thanks and gratitude. Also, for everyone who came today. Well, I don't know. Hang on a minute. No. What I wanted to say in regards to that is like thanks everyone for like your commitment to sexuality and coming here to a talk like this. It's really beautiful. Also to Jada for putting this on. Like it takes some courage to put on an event like this and a lot of time and planning and everything. So I just really want to acknowledge that. And who else? Oh, the Second Story staff who are working here today as well. Yep. Bobby, Jack, Tim, who's not here, and Biz, our sound tech, really awesome. And almost all the other speakers too, so good, so amazing. It helped me like craft half my talk. So thanks. I'm so glad I got to go last. Well, we got to go last. I mean we. Which is the most important thing, is thanks to my lovely partner Jem for doing this and getting up and doing this talk and having the courage to do this. Because we don't do this every day, this is not our natural thing to jump up in front of people and talk. So, yeah. That's the like formal bit.
It's a serious
bit. Okay, cool.
bit.
That's a serious bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, I hope someone's keeping time because I lose track of time when I'm on a stage. So, Jada, if you just want to kick us off when you just like give us a bit of a prod.
Yeah. Especially when he's talking about sex, which he loves. So he's probably going to go on for quite some time.
Yeah. We're just getting warmed up, really.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the next slide. What is sacred sexuality? Since Jada came to me with this whole talk and idea, I was like, what the fuck is sacred sexuality? Like, what makes it sacred? Still trying to figure that one out. But where are we at with it? I suppose, like, I had the thought of, well, do you just sort of maybe smudge each other with some sage and do a bit of Palo Santo before having a gangbang? I'm not sure. Is that sacred? Or is maybe it just being present? Maybe it's bringing presence to sexuality. I think maybe there's a spectrum of what is sacred and what is not sacred so much, like drunken one-night stands. Do you want to say a few things about sacred sexuality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I met Michael, it was a very interesting time in my life, and I'd just come back from an ayahuasca retreat and doing a week's worth of sexual energy training with Shantam Nitiyama. So I was in this really juiced up state. Anybody who doesn't know who Nitiyama is, he's a man who can make women orgasm by hugging them. And it's real and it happens and it's pretty cool. So I was really fascinated to know, how do we do this? I wanted to go off and be an energy worker. I was like, cool, I can make anyone orgasm just by holding them. And I went with this real head mindset of wanting to learn all these techniques and wanting to map the body and trying to figure out all the pathways. And one of the main things that I took away from that retreat, a whole week in, and we still hadn't gotten down to how he does what he does. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't get it. And there was a few people in the room also that was just like, come on, give us the techniques, give us the techniques. And I watched somebody walk out of a workshop of his because they wanted to know techniques. And then I finally figured out what he was doing. And all it is presence. And the whole time I'm sitting there learning to be present. And I'm thinking that I'm there to learn all these amazing techniques. And what I came out with was so much more valuable because I was so juiced when I left that retreat just by being in a room full of people, just being present with each other, just doing like these beautiful exercises you've seen today, like transfiguration, heart-to-heart meditations, breath work, and just holding your hand over somebody and saying, I'm sending presence through my hand to somebody else's body. And those in the room who do energy work or who've had energy work done will know that that's what it's all about. It's all about your intention and what you put in. So yes, all joking aside, we joke about what's sacred, and we genuinely believe and we know in our bodies it's presence, because when I met Michael, I was at a festival, my first festival, and I was just fully in my inner child, fully in my sexual slut at the same time, and I was just all, yeah, life. And then I met this guy, and he's not in work mode, he's not putting events on, he's not building bars, and he's in his own energy. And when we connected, it was so powerful for me because so many men that I've been with in the past have not been present. They've not held me when I've needed to be held. So to meet that and to have that meet me, and for me to be in that state, and finally someone to go, hey, I'm here, I'm with you, I'm holding you. And that's what sacred is to us and what we've been practicing in our sex life. Even if it's just a quickie in the morning, we try to make some eye contact and just try to be with each other as much as we can, and throughout the day, and checking in on emotions, how are we feeling? Even at the beginning of a meeting, Second Story, we now start all of our meetings with a feelings check-in, just so we're present with each other. And the shift in energy in the room we do that is just wow. So that's what sacred is, definitely to me, and I know this guy definitely agrees. He just loves his jokes.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, like, you were worried about getting up in front of a bunch of people and talking? Like, she's got this, right? And, yeah. And shucks, too. So, everybody has, like, I think we're the last speakers or something. Everybody's heard everyone else talk, so like, what do you guys think sacred sexuality is? Like, I want to pass this mic to someone. Anyone?
Realness. Communion through presence.
Yes. All right, cool. Anyone else? Realness. Cool.
Go one over there.
Hang on. I love creativity. It's like it's that you need presence for creativity. So, You know, I think, no, we'll get to that later. Cool. So, we could talk for a long time, but I think we need to move to the next slide. So, your orgasmic potential. I thought I knew a fair bit about orgasms and stuff. I do love sex. And I thought I knew a fair bit about it before me and Jem started our relationship. And then I realized, wow, there's like so much that I don't know about orgasmic potential and different types of orgasms. Like, I had no idea before this year of what a throatgasm was. I didn't know that that was a thing. I don't know whether anyone in this room doesn't know about that, but I definitely didn't know about that before this year. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm sure there's other things. So through running the workshop that we did as well, the SquirtShop, which was about female ejaculation, I knew a lot about that one, but I didn't know a lot about other things. And then it's kind of led to like, oh, there's this other thing and there's this other area. And yeah, it's just, it blows me away, the depth. And I think, well, being up here together, I think that a big part of that is that the depth, the level that you can go to when you're with a partner, with a lover, is so much more. There's so much more depth to go to, and within that, within orgasmic potential, to really explore and be creative and be present, and you know, it's fucking fun.
And it's interesting because I mean, you can practice sacred sexuality with someone you just met, and you can do amazing, incredible things. And there seems to be this balance of polarity and long-term relationships, and it's something we've definitely had a bit of an experience recently with. I'm 4 months pregnant, so there's been a huge, baby mama. There's been a little bit of a lull.
Sacred sexuality works.
Yeah, be careful. It's not what you're calling in. I recently went through a huge just shutdown sexually because it just didn't feel right for me to want to have sex. And I felt so much love for Michael and always do. And it was just this, I just don't want to do this right now. And he hadn't changed. He hadn't gotten less sexy. You know, his penis hadn't shrunk. Nothing had happened for me that would have turned me off. And everything was still just as it was and perfect. But inside of me, everything was so much different. And just by like our own little practices and doing our workshop, we almost cancelled SquirtShop the day before we did it because I hadn't like squirted for a long time, and it was just something that I didn't really miss, but it just stopped happening since the pregnancy. And we had a practice the night before, and it was this last minute kind of, we're very last minute humans, and it seems to be the way we work best, under pressure, doing things at the last minute, pure focus, flow state happens. Yeah. And this is exactly what happened with this workshop, and we had a beautiful, Ella was there.
Brilliant. It was fucking mind-blowing. I was honoured to be, I was in the best spot as well. It was amazing, guys. Thanks, man.
You know, but that nearly didn't happen, and it's just, you know, it's this kind of block we often have, particularly with sexuality in longer term relationships, when things maybe aren't as sexy, or, you know, you've seen them in the bathroom, or, you know, you've all these manner of unsexy things that happen in a relationship, but they can still be sexy if you just bring some presence into things. And, you know, Michael just saying, let's do this, and just grabbing a hold of me, taking me off and going, right, come on, yoni massage. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. And then I think we like had sex about 3 or 4 times in a day and a half, and we hadn't had it in about 2 weeks. And there was me having a panic attack thinking, oh my God, I'm pregnant, my relationship's over, everything's just gone wrong, and feeling no flow. And I think that's our big thing is, if you're not having sex and you're in a long-term relationship, just go home and have sex. And Layla Martin talks about this, you know, it doesn't have to be mind-blowing. You don't have to light all the candles and do all the things if you don't have time. It can be average sex, but just keep doing it and, you know, see what happens, see what unfolds, just be with each other and be present. So,
yeah, you got this.
I was going to make him do the whole talk, by the way, and then I was just going to shut up.
Well, let's talk a bit about SquirtShop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we I don't know. We came back from Confest.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to do a workshop in a sort of, I use the term loosely because I don't really feel like tantric. I don't know. I haven't studied any tantra, so I'm more just sexuality. And we just wanted to teach some of what we know, and thought maybe people might resonate with this. And then we put it out there, and then the workshop just kind of went viral. Didn't actually invite anyone to the workshop, and then the next minute there was like 1,000 people going, like interested. And
there was no content in the event. There was nothing. No pricing. Just SquirtShop and exploration into female ejaculation, and then this picture.
That picture. So that was it. And then a lot of people, just were interested. So we put the content up and everything, and then sold out the first one. It was really great. But the reason why we really wanted to do it was because there's a lot of misconceptions around female ejaculation. There's a lot of misunderstanding, and there's also a lot of what's the word? There's a lot of manipulation in marketing and everything. It's like that I noticed on the internet about get a woman addicted to you and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, ugh, that's fucking gross, Like this is this can be a sovereign practice as much as it can be someone helping to facilitate it, whether that be a person with a penis or a vagina helping a person with a vagina, I think there has to be one vagina at least.
Yeah. We did come across, when we was doing the marketing, we had a few questions, and we did come up against this one with the couples tickets. So it was like, anyone who has a vagina can come to, to learn for themselves, but anybody who wants to work with a vagina.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But it's also something that once in the flow can be achieved just, like on your own as a woman as well. So don't need guys to be able to, or the women of the room to be able to, achieve something sexually, So we wanted to demystify it and then just sort of normalize it as well. Just break down the whole unicorn kind of orgasms kind of vibe, and just be like, well, if we just start talking about it and run a workshop and do a live demo, then that'll make it more normal, right?
Well, pregnant.
Didn't plan on that part at the start. But, the workshops, we've done 2 of them, and it's only 2 that we've done. We're not like super experienced sexuality workers or tantra workers like a lot of the other facilitators on this stage have been. We're pretty newbie, fresh people, but we're just real kind of people just doing our thing, just kind of love sex. Anything else you want to talk about SquirtShop?
No, I think we've covered.
Cool. When's the next
It's funny, I was just
April
saying
2018. Well, that's what Facebook says.
No, I think we're going to change it. I was just saying I
up to her.
Feel like I could do it again.
Yeah, cool.
There was a huge fear around the pregnancy and being sexual while pregnant, but moving through that, and I'm like, well, sex got me pregnant, so, we got the penis and the vagina.
Worked.
It does work.
The gift works. Yeah. So we wanted to touch on sexual sovereignty, because that's a big part of why we did this workshop, and it's about consent and boundaries and a lot of those things that are important for, positive sexual experiences.
It's very distracting.
Well, I don't know how to make it stop. It's okay. There you go back to that one. So communication, big part of that, of creating. Why am I standing over
I don't know.
It feels a bit weird. I want to stand here.
Yeah.
Communication, and I think it's so important. Even maybe like as far as creating a container for like sacred sexuality, I guess, one thing that I love doing is using words and manifesting things whilst having sex. I think it's really powerful to do that, like with your partner or your lover, whatever it may be, as long as you're both cool with what you're saying and stuff, like. Yeah, that comes back to boundaries and consent, But yeah, it's very, very important, particularly within the framework of the SquirtShop and running, creating an environment. And this is whether it's in the workshop or just individually, between two people, just creating a really safe environment, one that is really conducive to surrender and safety. So, I just wanted to touch on the sovereignty factor. It's really, really important to me that my own sexual sovereignty and Gem's own sexual sovereignty, and then there's like us together as well. Do you want to talk about sovereignty at all? Sovereignty. You don't have to.
No, I think this is
cool.
Your big one. You love that one.
All right, moving along. This is like where you stand over that way a bit more.
Yeah.
So, sexuality through pregnancy. Well, we kind of.
Briefly.
I know Peter loves holding on to his cum, but I don't. Or the whole abstinent or whatever you think. The what do you call it? You go inside. Yeah. But yeah, obviously Gem's pregnant, which is awesome. 4 months along, pretty happy about that creation. And now the next stage for our relationship and what we're journeying on through is sexuality. Sex through being pregnant. I thought I was a bit of a freak because I'd never really talked about this to anyone, but I've always been quite attracted to pregnant women. And as a man, and I'm like, it's a bit weird. But then when it's your own partner, it's cool. And then you start talking about this to other people, and then they're like, oh yeah, me too. Like, I'm like, so I'm not the only one. It's like one of those kind of taboo things that, you just start talking about it, becomes normal and natural. Yeah. This is our current journey. This is where we're at right now. Like I've never been with a partner who's intimately with a partner who's pregnant, and so it's all good so far. But no, it's more of a challenge though. Like it is more of a challenge to. And like energetically with the hormones and everything. Obviously,
Stuff
you guys
just
know
changes,
all about that. But
just suddenly, there's no feel in there, and you're like, whoa, that used to do things, and then they like feel amazing, and then you like touch them, you're like, oh no, that's not good, and they look massive and amazing and awesome, and then he wants to grab them, and I'm like, no, ow. So there is all this stuff that changes in a woman's body, which is. I don't think we look at enough in society about the effects on pregnant women and what they actually go through on that journey of 9 months. And it's just huge. Even in the head, the stuff that's going on is just so mystical. And it's this process. And I really feel for partners of pregnant women because they have no idea what's going on. This guy has been amazing.
I think Gem talked about presence at the start though. And I think that more than ever, it really challenges and tests the presence just to be going through whatever's coming up and whatever's happening, and just kind of, it's a little bit of my attitude in life. It's just be like, yeah, whatever. But, it kind of serves me not too bad when it comes to the whole hormones of pregnancy because, it's like Melbourne's weather just changes like so fast and quick and cold and it's probably going to get pretty hot soon, I reckon. Yeah.
And our idea of a dirty time right now at 2 a.m. is me asking for Lord of the Fries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we're really seeking to do from like now, and she's 4 months, we've got 5 months to prepare but is to do everything as much as possible to have an orgasmic and blissful birth. So again, you know, like creating the space, and you know, obviously there's workshop spaces. Many of you have been to workshops in this building, and it's all about creating space. I love creating space that's set and intentional. So doing the best that we can to do that for having, well, a home birth, really. Got to get home first. It could end up happening in the womb room, who knows, downstairs. But
for extra sacredness.
Yeah, exactly, for extra sacredness. Yeah, but I think there's a whole journey that we're going on now with finding, you know, the right doula and the right, which we've got a beautiful doula, Lavis, who's running workshops here too now. It's really weird. Actually, that's one really weird thing about working and running a place like this, is that she became pregnant, Jem became pregnant, and then all of a sudden we did not market for this, but I've got mother's yoga downstairs, we've got she birth, so midwife running workshops, like all this stuff came out of the woodwork, and I'm like, there's all these babies, and I'm getting asked to put change tables in the toilets and stuff, you know. I'm like, wow. Anyway,
so this is the power of
synchronicities, yeah. totally. Yeah. But it's really important for us to bring this little being into the world in the most beautiful way, and yeah, have a good start to life. So, and you could probably talk about this a bit more, but just the amount of, I suppose, pressure, fear in around pregnancy, definitely fear, but also the lack of women coming forward to tell positive stories about good birthing. So, you want to have a little chat about that?
Yeah, I think this is probably the last subject before we step off. So I think we're to the end. Yep. Clash. Yeah, this has been a huge thing for me, especially with the sexuality, is I'd never really imagined I was going to be a parent. And in fact, I adamantly said last year, I don't want to have kids ever. And it was a really interesting journey that Michael and I went on when we found out we were pregnant, and we thought we were the month before, and I went through a whole releasing of kind of trauma around that and why I didn't want to be a parent. And what I got to underneath was I actually did want to be a parent, and my body and soul was moving towards that. I was rubbing my stomach for about 6 months through all the sexuality practices that I was doing, and I was manifesting this, but my head and my ego hadn't caught up, because I've seen so many stories about bad births, about bad pregnancies, about don't have babies at the end of your life, you'll never have sex again, your pelvic floor will fall out, you'll piss yourself every day, all of these horrible things. And it's just scaremongering people I've never given birth. So how do I know what birth's going to be like? How do I know what sex is going to be like? How do I know that my relationship's going to get destroyed by a baby? I don't know any of this, but yet I seem to be so sure of it in my head. And this every day I'm delayering and moving through this. And you know, I've met some amazing women. There's a lady called Crystal Alexander Hill who wrote an amazing book on orgasmic birthing, and I've been reading her stuff, and like just phenomenal reconditioning of the mind around being a sexual mother. And I was like, whoa. And you know, Dancing Eros bringing the erotic mother archetype through, and we have an erotic mother in the room. And give us a wave, Lou. Yeah, you know, and it's like, it's just phenomenal the amount of women that have come forward since I've been manifesting that, and I've been really like, come on, show me positive stories. And so many women are stepping forward and, you know, helping me break through my trauma and allowing us as a couple as well to discuss this. Because Michael had no fear of creating life, but I had an absolute fear. And all the fear was coming externally from all the negative stories. So what I'm going to say, if anybody out there is a mother or a father and you've got positive birth stories and positive sexuality stories, please share them. Maybe not with your mum and dad if that's not what your game is, but you know, get them out there. You know, find a way to change that for other people, because I feel like if that had happened more before I was pregnant, I would have gone through probably 3 or 4 months of a lot easier pregnancy, because so far it's been pretty difficult for me. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. on the pregnancy stuff. Yeah.
This is the last slide anyway, so I'm just going to keep it really brief. But every time we've done the SquirtShop, twice, the people ask us like, but how did you get to the point where you can do this in front of people? And a big part of it is like sort of the foundational work that we did together was with the Art of Relating guys on feelings and emotions. So really tapping into diving deep into the layers of feelings, unblocking stuck emotions and all of that kind of stuff, and then doing it present, real time, all the time. Like Jem said before we have meetings, we check in, see how everyone's feeling, and then we move forwards. So I can't sort of stress enough like doing the emotional feelings work on yourself. It's been like so important and vital for the success of where we're at in our relationship at the moment. So. And
it raises a really interesting point on the sexuality front, is that so many people want to jump from 0 to orgasm really quickly, and there seems to be this jump into tantra, and the foundational work's not done first. And that definitely was my story, and I got very orgasmic and very spirally because I didn't do that stuff first. So I fully recommend this work, and I wish I'd done it before I started my tantric journey. So, yeah. And
just the last thing I guess I'll say is I've been in and around a lot of work that is about healing, and I really wouldn't say this is not healing. This is about when you are healed, making everything even better. So, yeah. For everyone.
Oh yeah, it's for everybody. It's the Art of Relating is just the name of their business, but the courses they do are for anyone, regardless of couples or not.
And we just love their work, so we're just big fans of Garo and Stacia. Anyway, thanks for listening to us.